The screech of metal twisting against metal still echoed in my ears as I stood in the lawyer's office, the air thick with the scent of polished oak and stale coffee. My grandparents' car had plummeted off that rain-slicked cliff 2 weeks ago, their bodies mangled beyond recognition in the wreckage. But it wasn't the crash that gutted me now. It was the envelope in my trembling hands, the one the lawyer had just slid across his desk. "Sole heir," he said flatly, his voice cutting through the haze of my grief like a dull blade. $8 million. Their entire estate, every penny they'd scraped together over decades of quiet frugality, now mine. And in that moment, as the weight of it sank in, a fury ignited in my chest, hot and unyielding. Because I knew, deep in my bones with a certainty that made my vision blur, that my cousin Sarah had killed them for it. The shock hit me like a physical blow, forcing me back into the leather chair. My mind reeled, flashing to Sarah's tear-streaked face at the funeral. Her arms wrapped around me in a hug that now felt like a noose. "I'm so sorry, Alex," she'd whispered, her voice cracking just enough to seem real. But I'd seen the flicker in her eyes, the way she'd glanced at the wills mentioned during the reading, her fingers twitching as if already counting the cash. Denial surged first, a desperate wave crashing against the truth. No, it couldn't be. Sarah, my blood, the girl I'd grown up with, sharing secrets under summer stars. We were family. But resentment had festered between us for years, ever since our grandparents favored me, the quiet, studious one, over her wild, reckless ways. She'd always joked about the money, but those jokes had sharpened into barbs. "One day it'll all be mine anyway," she'd said once, laughing it off. Now that laugh haunted me. I left the office in a daze, the city streets blurring into a gray smear under the overcast sky. Rain pattered against my umbrella, each drop a tiny hammer against my skull. My apartment welcomed me with its familiar chill, the kind that seeped into your bones no matter how high you cranked the heat. I poured a glass of whiskey, the amber liquid burning a path down my throat, but it did nothing to quench the fire inside. Heartbreak twisted in my gut. Grandpa's stories of his immigrant days, Grandma's apple pie that smelled like home. And for what? Greed. The thought of Sarah plotting it, tampering with their brakes perhaps, or hiring some shadowy figure to run them off the road. It obsessed me. I paced the living room, the carpet muffling my footsteps, my mind spinning fantasies of confrontation. I'd storm her house, shove the evidence in her face, watch her crumble. But what evidence? Just my gut screaming betrayal. That night, sleep evaded me, my sheets tangled in sweaty knots. Guilt crept in like fog, whispering doubts. Was I paranoid? Grief warping my judgment. Sarah had been there for me after my parents' divorce, sneaking me out for midnight drives when the house felt too empty. But those memories soured now, tainted by suspicion. I scrolled through old photos on my phone, the glow casting harsh shadows on my face. There she was at Grandma's birthday last year, her smile too wide, her hand lingering on Grandpa's shoulder. Had she been calculating even then? The obsession grew, a vine choking my thoughts. By dawn, cold resolve settled in. I wouldn't let this slide. But revenge. The word tasted metallic like blood. I wasn't a killer. Or was I? The next morning I called Sarah, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. "Hey cuz, want to grab coffee? Talk about everything." She agreed eagerly, her tone laced with that false warmth I'd once mistaken for genuine. We met at our old spot, a dingy cafe with vinyl booths cracked from years of use. The aroma of fresh brew mingled with the sizzle of bacon, but my stomach churned. She slid into the seat opposite me, her blonde hair pulled back, eyes rimmed red as if from crying. "Alex, I can't believe they're gone," she said, reaching for my hand. I pulled back instinctively, masking it with a sip of coffee. The bitterness mirrored my mood. We talked in circles, memories, funeral details, but tension hummed beneath every word. "The lawyer mentioned the will," I ventured, watching her closely. Her cup paused mid-air, a microsecond of hesitation. "Yeah. What about it?" Her voice was casual, but her knuckles whitened on the handle. I'm the sole heir. All 8 million. The words hung there, heavy as lead. Her eyes widened, then narrowed, a flash of something dark, envy? Rage. Before she forced a smile. That's, wow. They always did love you more. The admission slipped out, laced with resentment. My heart pounded. There it was, the crack in her facade. But she recovered quickly, laughing it off. Kidding. You deserve it. Use it well. Humiliation burned in me as I left, her words echoing. Loved you more. Was that her motive? Years of feeling second best, bubbling into murder. Back home I dove into research, my laptop screen illuminating the dim room. Accident reports, brake failures common in old cars like theirs. But something nagged. The police had ruled it accidental too quickly. Doubt gnawed at me. What if I was wrong? Accusing her could shatter what family I had left. Yet the anger festered, turning to obsession. I imagined her reaction if I exposed her. Tears, denials, then the sweet crumble of defeat. Moral conflict tore at me. Revenge felt justified, but at what cost to my soul? Days blurred into a haze of planning. I hired a private investigator discreetly, the kind who operated in shadows. His office smelling of cigarette smoke and regret. Dig into Sarah, I said, sliding him a photo. Anything suspicious around the crash? He nodded, his eyes shrewd. Family disputes can get ugly. Ugly. The word stuck. As I waited for his report, quiet calculation filled my hours. I avoided Sarah's calls, letting voicemail pile up, each message a subtle probe. You okay? We should talk more. Suspense built slowly, like a storm gathering on the horizon. I fantasized about justice, legal if possible. But if not, darker thoughts intruded. Poison. No, too intimate. An accident mirroring theirs. The idea thrilled and terrified me. The PI's call came on a stormy evening. Thunder rumbling like distant artillery. Your cousin's in debt. Big time. Gambling, bad investments. She visited a mechanic the week before the crash, one who specializes in modifications. My breath caught. Proof. Not quite, but close. Heartbreak morphed into cold fury. She'd betrayed not just me, but them. Our shared blood. I confronted the mirror, my reflection gaunt, eyes hardened. She has to pay, I whispered. But how? Fear gripped me. Crossing that line meant no return. Guilt whispered of forgiveness, but resentment drowned it out. That night, I drafted a plan, the scratch of pen on paper the only sound in the silent apartment. Subtle at first. Isolate her, expose her debts publicly, watch her world unravel. Then the strike. Suspense coiled tighter as I imagined her unraveling, her pleas falling on deaf ears. But doubt lingered. Was I becoming the monster? Sarah showed up unannounced the next day, rain dripping from her coat onto my doormat. Why are you ghosting me? She demanded, her voice edged with panic. I let her in, the air thick with unspoken accusations. Just processing, I lied, pouring wine with steady hands. We sat on the couch, the fabric rough under my palms, tension crackling like static. The money. It's changing you, she said softly, her eyes searching mine. Manipulation. Or genuine concern. My pulse raced. Or maybe it's revealing things, I replied, my tone laced with suppressed rage. She flinched to tell. The conversation danced on a knife's edge. Hints of her guilt surfacing in evasive answers. I loved them too, you know. But her voice wavered, betraying the lie. As she left, I felt the shift. Resolve hardening into action. The pursuit had begun. The weeks following solidified my path, each day a step deeper into the abyss. I tailed Sarah discreetly, my car idling in shadows as she met shady figures in dimly lit bars, the neon signs flickering like warning lights. Her life was crumbling, creditors calling, her job on the line. I'd leaked her debts anonymously, watching from afar as humiliation etched lines on her face. Inner conflict raged. This was justice, right? But obsession consumed me. sleep fractured by nightmares of the crash, Grandma's scream echoing endlessly. Guilt clawed. Was I any better than her? One evening I broke into her apartment, the lock-picking set I'd bought online trembling in my hands. The place reeked of desperation. Empty bottles, unpaid bills scattered like confetti. In her desk drawer, jackpot. Receipts from the mechanic, dated days before the crash. Brake line adjustment. My blood ran cold. Proof. But not enough for court, circumstantial at best. Fury boiled over. Fantasies of vengeance sharpening. I'd make her confess, force the truth into the light. I invited her over under pretense of reconciliation. The table set with Grandma's old china, candlelight dancing on the walls. The scent of lasagna, her favorite, filled the air allure. She arrived wary, her coat clutched tight. "What's this about?" she asked, sitting stiffly. Dialogue flowed naturally at first, reminiscing, but tension simmered. "Remember how Grandpa always said family first?" I said, pouring wine laced with just enough sedative to loosen her tongue. Not lethal yet. Moral grayness enveloped me. This was calculated, cold. As the drug took hold, her words slurred, defenses cracking. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," she mumbled, eyes glassy. My heart stopped. "What?" I pressed, voice steady despite the storm inside. "The brakes. I paid him to weaken them. Thought it'd just scare them, make them rewrite the will. But the rain." Tears streamed, her face contorting in guilt. Betrayal confirmed. Heartbreak exploded anew. "You killed them," I shouted, slamming the table. She sobbed. "I was drowning in debt. They never helped me like they did you." Resentment poured out. Years of feeling overlooked, her wild life a cry for attention. Layered, human, but unforgivable. Suspense peaked as I revealed the recorder in my pocket. Her confession captured. "This goes to the police." Panic flared in her eyes. "Please, Alex. We're family." The plea twisted the knife. Doubt flickered. Was revenge worth destroying us both? But cold resolve won. I called the cops anonymously, leaving the tape at her door after she passed out. The arrest came swiftly. Headlines screaming Heir's cousin charged in fatal crash. I watched from the shadows as they cuffed her. Her screams echoing my inner turmoil. Poetic justice. Or hollow victory. As she glared at me through the squad car window, a twist unraveled. In her final words, whispered to the officer. He knew. Alex tampered too. Jealous of my bond with them. Lies. Or had my obsession blinded me to my own hidden motives? Guilt crashed down. Had I exaggerated her guilt to claim the fortune unchallenged? In the end, the money sat untouched, a curse. Revenge's payoff. Isolation, haunted by echoes of betrayal. The crash wasn't just theirs, it was mine too.